Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Multiple updates out today on the next rounds of stimulus, and we also have more answers on the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. First though, let's talk about House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer. He gave us an outline of the strategy that we should expect for negotiations. And this is actually really useful because there's a lot of negativity going on around this Problem Solvers Caucus bill, and it's leaving a lot of people going, why is Nancy Pelosi not responding to it? What's going on? Like, why are they not passing this? It seems like a great proposal, which it does. It seems like a wonderful proposal. Well, he gave us a bit of an outline, and this just gives us a little bit more insight into knowing so we can ease our anxiety. Okay, so to me, this is helpful. They say, they've got to go from proposal first. After they have the proposal, they're not going to vote on this right away. Instead, the Democratic leadership, what they're going to do is they're going to take this proposal once they've got something agreed within the party, whether that's the Problem Solvers Caucus bill or some kind of merger between the heroes and the problem solvers. They're trying to come up with a solution within the next 3 to 4 days, working days. They're off tomorrow, though, of course, for Rosh Hashanah. Anyway, they're trying to take this proposal, and then they want to strike a deal with Donald Trump. They're not going to the Senate, and they're not going to a vote. They're going to take the proposal, go to Donald Trump. Once Donald Trump says, we're good, they believe that Donald Trump is going to be what is the power or sort of that missing piece that gets Republicans unified and onto an actual bill. Then they'll have a vote in the House. Then they'll get and pressure the Senate to come back to work to vote on it. That's the tentative plan. To me, this helps ease my minds in terms of, okay, why does this process seem so backwards? It's backwards because they think in order to get this done, rather than just having Democrats vote on a bill and pass it and go, here, we passed our bill, like they did with the HEROES Act, they're going to take the proposal, get Trump on board, then vote on it, then get the rest of the Republicans on board. It's kind of like a mixed up proposal, but that's how they think things can get done right now. Now, remember, we had the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal announced on Monday and detailed on Tuesday that includes things like extra PPP money, extending unemployment for 13 weeks, possibly longer, possibly 2 rounds of stimulus checks, double stimulus checks. And yesterday, Donald Trump said the following words, and I've kind of condensed these a little bit, but this is exactly what he said. The Problem Solvers Caucus are good people. They're on their way. We're getting closer. I do like a lot of money getting sent to the people. There are some things I disagree with, but I'm sure we can negotiate those. I think I can convince Republicans to go for this. That's really good. Like, proposals brewing, Trump on board is brewing. This is way better than where we were, even last week. This was also followed up by White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows talked about, well, we already know that Republicans are pretty anti the state and local government funding being in the stimulus package because they don't want a blue state bailout. But Mark Meadows gave us some more insight on this. He said, quote, the caveat that losses for state and local government funding would only go to real losses gives me real hope. These are actual losses, not projections, and that's bringing people together. You turn in receipts, and Republicans and Democrats are on board. It's not a blank check. That's roughly what Mark Meadows said this morning, and this is really powerful because it says, okay, Republicans were saying 0 state and local government funding. Democrats were saying, no, we want a blank check for state and local governments. Well, now the Problem Solvers Caucus comes together and says, how about we do actual reimbursements for losses due to COVID? And now Republicans are going, okay, we could be on board with that. See, this is how we're actually getting closer to a deal. This is good. This is a ton of progress just over the last few days here. Mark Meadows went on to say that I really feel things are thawing now. Folks need help and the pieces of the puzzle are coming together. Now, we've had 4 months of gridlock and it's time to lead. We're going to get it done. Not bad. Then we heard this morning Nancy Pelosi say, we could put a bill on the floor, but we want to put a bill on the floor that will become law. This is obviously a U-turn again from the HEROES Act. You know, they failed with the HEROES Act. They put together the HEROES Act, they voted on it, passed it, but it didn't go anywhere because they didn't have those discussions up front. They're doing things differently now. Nancy Pelosi is acknowledging that by saying we want to put a bill on the floor, so this is good. Obviously, keep this in mind, the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal isn't even a bill yet. You know, it's a PDF outline of things that could be a bill, but it's not actually a bill. So why is the Democratic leadership stalling on voting on it? Because there's nothing actually to vote on yet. There is no bill yet. So they got to take this proposal and hopefully merge this together into a real compromise bill. All right. Again, this is a different strategy from what we've seen in the past, but hopefully this gives you a little bit more optimism and insight into what's going on. And I'm not trying to create false hope at all. Again, many of you know I created a lot of I'm pissed videos. And remember, folks, I'm not shaving until we get our stimulus checks. All right. Leaders of the Problem Solvers Caucus also spoke last night, and Representative Josh Gottheimer and Representative Tom Reed, a Republican and Democrat, said late yesterday, together, we're optimistic. The priorities that Democrats and Republicans want are in this. It's not perfect, but it gets us through this. It's unconscientiable for us to go home without a bill. This was followed by Representative Dan Muser, a Republican, saying, I don't agree with everything in the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal, but we need to do something. There's also now a new proposal coming in the House from Republicans for a streamlined PPP funding bill. So we're really actually starting to see a lot of this sort of pressure boil up. And these standalone bills, remember when they submit these standalone bills, they could end up getting absorbed into a larger bill. Think about the larger bill as like the octopus that comes in and grabs all these other bills. But let's go ahead and go to our flow chart here and look at it. So this is our flow chart on the Problem Solvers Caucus bill. And we talked about this a lot in videos yesterday, so we won't recap too much. But here are the standalone bills coming up right now. The payroll tax waiver bill was announced last week, specifically for giving the payroll tax cut between September 1st and December 31st. This is a House bill, and that's where we want to see it because that's where we think this compromise bill is going to come from. Then also today, we're expecting a House PPP bill. That's a standalone PPP bill reopening the $138 billion and basically giving people the opportunity at a second chance at the PPP loan. I would expect these things to be incorporated into a more formal version of the Problem Solvers Caucus actual proposal in a real compromise bill. Possibly also coming up, Airlines. Airlines were at the White House today clamoring, begging for another bailout. And they don't want loans, they want a bailout. And they threaten thousands of furloughs if they don't get a bailout by October 1st with a new COVID bill. So they're in Washington creating big pressures here. And that's on top of the Federal Reserve Chairman yesterday going, we're expecting a COVID bill. If we don't get a COVID bill, we're going to have permanent damage to this economy and there will be lasting scars. Watch that video I did on the Fed yesterday, or even the market crash video I did this morning. Very, very detailed on some of the things going on. This is going to be another thing that keeps coming up with Democrats, the salt tax cap removal, removing the cap on salt taxes. That's state and local tax deductions. Basically, 96% of this benefit goes to people in the top 20% of earnings. So it's really something that benefits wealthier people. But Democrats want this because this is very powerful in states like California and New York, although it does also help in high property tax states like Texas. So those are some of the new things coming. And remember, just some things here, you know. Donald Trump in his tweet yesterday says, hey, Republicans, go for the higher numbers, right? Mark Meadows, more optimistic than he's been in the last 72 days. So these are good things. Okay, let's go ahead and keep moving on. So Kevin McCarthy held a press conference this morning and encouraged us to get the PPP renewed. Didn't really say much else that was super exciting. On U.S. unemployment claims, we're going to go deeper into this. We had 860,000 who filed for unemployment claims, but that headline number, which is stable from last week, doesn't count the additional 658,000 people on pandemic unemployment assistance, which are like self-employed people that also filed for unemployment in the last week or the week ending September 12th. So that's just over 1.5 million new unemployment filings just in the last week, which it's slightly down from a week earlier when we consider the PUA individuals. But it's definitely, it's not great. These are still a lot of people filing for unemployment. There are also now renewed worries about, and we consistently hear this now, about a tidal wave of bankruptcies coming and more store closures coming. Watch my video this morning, especially if you're investing in any stocks like Delta, Carnival, Dave & Buster's, Marcus Corp. Big changes this morning, and I've been warning about these for about the last 3 weeks. Remember, you can always go to the stocks playlist and see my warnings specifically as they happen. I try to stay ahead of the news curve when I can to give you warnings before they come. On other news, the Bank of England and the European Union are keeping rates steady. They are seeing the same need to stabilize this economy like the Federal Reserve is. The Federal Reserve was panicked yesterday, and because of that panic where Jerome Powell is basically throwing up his hands, we saw a pretty substantial pullback in the stock market today. Here's the Webull chart for today, which remember you can open an account with Webull and they will give you one free stock worth up to $1,600 as long as you deposit $100 with them. But anyway, we've got Lemonade up, which they've just been beat down terribly over the last few weeks, but that's fine. This is a good long one to look into. Lemonade, nice cheap price though. I like them. Everything else though is red. The indices are down. Snowflake's down 11%. I warned against buying Snowflake yesterday and the days before the IPO. I said don't buy this. Dave & Buster's, I said sell last week. It's down 25% today. I've been out of recovery for about 2 weeks. We talk about this in the live streams as well in my courses. Every day at 9 a.m. you could join me and get my immediate insights on what's going on. Redfin, Tesla, big 4% declines today. We've got a lot of blood in the streets today. Today might be a good day to sort of nibble in to the market. I don't recommend going heavy because we might see some more declines. So stay tuned. We are heading for a rocky road towards the election. Thank you so much for watching. I am optimistic, but I am also cautious. I really appreciate you watching. Please consider sharing this if you found it helpful. And folks, we'll see you in the next video.